Okay, so now I'm going to work through these three kind of short answer questions where you're doing some math. So we'll start out with 36, or it should be actually 37. I didn't change the number on it. So we're given our quantity demand, our demand equation. So this gives us how much of this good is demanded, the quantity, at a given price here. So it's 230 minus 5p. That's what determines it, this equation. And we're given the quantity supplied equation. And it's going to be 20 plus 2p. Now we want to find the equilibrium price of quantity first. Okay. Well, where is this in equilibrium? Well, this is when the quantity supplied and quantity demand are equal to each other. That's what's going to give you your equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity, is when quantity supplied equals quantity demand. So just set these two equations equal to each other and solve for P. So quantity supplied equal to quantity demand. Quantity supplied is 20 plus 2p. Quantity demand is 230 minus 5p. So what we want to do is we want to get the p's on one side and the plain numbers on the other first. So we'll subtract 20 and we'll add 5p to both sides. So adding 5p will get rid of that. It'll add 5p on this side, so it's going to be 7p. 2p plus 5p is 7p. What about minus 20? Well, that gets rid of that and adds 20 to 230. So that's going to give you 250. Okay. Now what we can do here, wait a minute. Oh, sorry, this is 210. You got to subtract 20. I was adding it. All right. So that's 210. And so now what we can do to get the price is just divide both of these by 7. Okay. That'll give you the price equals to 30. So 30 bucks is our equilibrium price here. We can erase that. We know that's 30 bucks. What about the quantity? Well, you can substitute in either one of these equations now. It's going to give you the same thing. So we put in quantity demand, it's 230. Ah, shoot. I'm having trouble writing here. 230 minus 5p. The price is 30. So that's 230 minus 150. So that's going to give you 80. And you should get the same thing with the quantity supplied equation. So it's 20 plus 2 times our price, which is 30. That's going to give us 20 plus 60. So that's 80 as well. So we know this number here is actually 80. That's our equilibrium quantity here. So that's our first part. Well, there we go. Let's erase this. And what we're going to do now is, what we're going to implement a price for. All right. So we're going to say we have a price floor now at 40 bucks. Okay. So price floor at 40 bucks. Well, is this going to cause any issues? Is this actually going to be effective? Well, yeah, because now 30 bucks that's illegal now. You can't go below this price floor. Okay. So this is illegal now. So what this is going to bind here. All right. And so what you need to find, all right, we need to find the quantity demanded at 40 bucks. And right here where this intersects, we need to find the quantity supplied. Okay. Once we do that, we can specify, like, well, we know this is going to be a surplus because the quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded. We can determine how much it's going to be here. And all you do, just stick this $40. This is going to be the price here. It wants to go down lower this, but it can't. So it's going to get stuck here and bind. So we substitute these into the quantity demand and quantity supplied. So here, the quantity demand, 230 minus 5p. The price is 40. So we know that's 230 minus 200. That's going to be equal to 30. Okay. So our quantity demand is 30. What about quantity supplied? Well, that's 5. I'm sorry. That's 20 plus, having trouble here. 20 plus 2p We know our price is 40, so it's going to be 20 plus 80. That equals to 100. So now we can determine, what our surplus is going to be here. All right. Since we know this is 100, what's our surplus? This amount right here. Well, we just take our 100 and subtract 30, and that's going to be 70. So we're going to have a surplus of 70 here. That's because, we have excess supply. Quantity supply is greater than quantity demand. And how much is it? Well, you did that by substituting back into these equations. When you know the price is going to be 40 bucks. When we get 100 for quantity supplied, 30 for quantity demand, that means there's going to be 70 units of this good produced that you can't sell. So you have a surplus here of 70. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next question. So you'll have something. So on the exam, like it could be a price ceiling too. It's gonna be one of these others. You're gonna get different demand supply equations. You're gonna find the equilibrium price and quantity. And then I'm either going to implement price floor or price ceiling. You need to know how to deal with that to see if it's effective or not, and then be able to solve whether it's a surplus or shortage and how much. Okay? Very similar to what I just did here. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. $38. So we're given price of good A, price of good B. I'm sorry, quantity demanded of good B. So here we're looking at the cross price elasticity. Okay. And so we're given some numbers here. It starts off at 10 bucks. What's the quantity demanded? Well, it's 95. This could be. What if this price of good A goes up to 30? Well, then quantity demand goes to 105. All right, so what we need to do, we need to use the midpoint elasticity method here. This is it's the same way if you're finding normal elasticity. Like here you're looking at the percent change in quantity demanded for good B when you have a percent change in the price of A. But it'd be the same too if you was, for instance, just doing normal elasticity. All right. You're going to use the same type formula here. It's just like you're looking at different numbers here because you're looking at the relationship between the price of good A, what kind of change that it causes as far as the quantity demanded change in good B here. So this is actually cross price elasticity, but this formula, the midpoint formula, is going to be the same. All right. That is the quantity demanded for good B, what you end up with, versus what you start out with. You subtract that. And you want to get this to be percent change on a total change. So you need to take the midpoint here. So you add these two quantities together and then divide by 2. What about the change in the price for good A? Well, you want to see where it ends up, what it started out. You subtract where it started out from where it began. That gives you a total change, but you want a percentage. So you divide by the midpoint here. So you add those two together. 1. And you divide by 2. So now let's plug in our numbers here. All right. We end up at 105 quantity demanded. We start out at 95. All right. We start out at $10. We get 95 quantity demanded. Goes to 30. We get 105. So we subtract. There's a change of 10. We have 1 percentage change. So we need to take the midpoint here. 105 plus 95 divided by 2. All right, so this will give us our percent change in quantity demand of good A. Now, we want to see what happens when you have a percent change in the price of A. So we end up with a price of 30. We start out at 10. So we subtract 10 from 30. That gives you the total change. We want percent. So this is why we're dividing here by this midpoint. So the price started out at 30. Add the 10, divide by 2. And that gives you your midpoint. Well, what you can do to simplify things here, you can just cancel that out. And then so on top, what we have is 10 divided by 200. And on the bottom, all we have here is 20 divided by 40. Okay. All right. What can we do here to get this? Well, we can cross multiply. 10 divided by 200 times 40 divided by 20. So we're going to have 400 divided by 2,000. All right, we can cancel all these out. We're left with 4 over 20, which is the same as 1/5. Wait a minute. Doesn't seem right. What did I do wrong here? That's something wrong. Two over 10. 1/5. What did I do wrong here? Ah, 200 times 20 is 4,000. Man, brain dead here. Sorry about that. All right, let's see if I get this. Okay. Yeah, so let's make this easier, first of all, by eliminating that. So it's 1 over 20 times 4 over 2. That gives you 4 times 40. And so that's going to give you 1/10. All right, and that's your cross price elasticity. So there's a positive relationship here. So when the price increases for one, your quantity demanded for the other good is going to increase. What that means here, these are substitutes, right? So let's talk about this particular example. The price of good A went from 10 to 30 bucks. It's like, man, this good's a lot more expensive, really speaking, to good B. All right, so you're going to substitute away from it, and you're going to demand more of this good B here. You're going to replace some of this, since you're not going to buy as much as good A, you're going to replace it with good B here. And so that's why you have an increase in quantity demanded here. And so anytime you have a elasticity cross price here, that's greater than 0, you know it substitutes. If it's negative, you know it's a complement. Okay. And so for this, like, I could either have, I don't, with this, it doesn't matter if it's cross price or income or anything like that. Just look at these numbers, just plug it in this formula here. You're going to kind of do this similar when you're doing this midpoint formula, regardless of which type it is. Okay, so let's go to our last problem. So this would be 39. Okay, this one, you're doing the same thing here, except for income. It's not cross price elasticity. So you want to use this formula, but here it's a little bit simpler. You don't have to use the midpoint method. You're given these percentages, so you can just plug these straight in. All right. So you're wanting to see when you have some sort of change in your income, what happens to quantity demanded. And this will give you your elasticity of income. Now let's see what all we're given here. Well, we're given the income elasticity of demand is -4. So we can substitute that, -4. And we're also given the change of quantity demand is plus 20%. So we know that. And so the only thing we're not given is the percent change in income. So now we need to solve for that. So here we want to multiply both sides by the percent change in income. This is the variable we want to solve for. And we want to divide both sides by -4. So when you multiply both sides by the percent change in income, that's going to eliminate it here, put it on this side. When you divide by -4 on both sides, that's going to eliminate it here. But you're going to divide this other side by that. So you're going to have 20% divided by -4. So this is -5%. Okay. So the percent change in income here is negative. And if you'll notice, the elasticity of demand that we're given here is negative. So this is an inferior good. You had an increase in income here. I'm sorry, you had a decrease in income. So now you don't have as much money. Well, your quantity demanded to increase for this good here. What does that mean? Well, it means this is an inferior good. It's obviously cheaper. You can't buy as much of these nicer goods now. So you're having to replace it with something that's like this good that you consider inferior. But you know, it's allowing you to get by because it's cheaper here. Right? So we know this is an inferior good when this is negative. Now, if elasticity of demand is positive, then we know it's just a normal good. And if it's greater than 1, it's a normal good, but it's also a luxury because there's a really big change response. That's what happens with luxury goods. People are going to be their response to buying more or less is going to be depending on how much income they have. So if the income keeps increasing, well, they're going to buy more and more of these luxury goods. So you're going to see like a large change in quantity demanded for them. Okay, so that's it for all these. Hope this was helpful.